Clara, Stephanie, and Kate are students of Awesome College Secondary School in Lagos State, one of the most prestigious schools for the wealthy elite. They became friends from school and were inseparable. Their friendship extended to their parents. They called their cycle the Bold. 3. They had 3 grand rules guiding their friendship, composed by them, and they abided to the rules strictly. The first rule, decreed by Stephanie, was no boys allowed in their lives, intended to keep their focus on each other. Clara introduced the second rule, my friend is your friend, my enemy is your enemy, to ensure their loyalty and unity. The third rule, proposed by Kate, stated that dance club is the only social club in school they should be part of, reflecting their mutual passion and commitment to dance. The trio was known for their beauty, impeccable fashion sense, and neat appearance, always looking stylish in their uniforms, hair, and shoes. Though not academically gifted, they were clever enough to avoid failing. Their peers, classmates, and teachers respected them, and everyone wanted to be their friend. Janet, one of their classmates, had always been envious of the Bold 3 popularity and beauty. She had tried to undermine them at any chance she gets, but her attempts were either ignored or snubbed by the girls, making her look silly and laughed at. Clara, Stephanie, and Kate were known for the front sit in class. They were always seated together and attentive in class. They spoke to no other person in the class but themselves. Every of their classmates wanted to speak to them, but they gave them no attention. On a Monday morning, Mr. Attawale, the geography teacher, a strict yet fair teacher with his commanding presence, entered the classroom, and the class went silent. As Mr. Attawale turned to write on the board, Janet, who had always been envious of the Bold 3, decided to whisper loudly to her friends, ensuring everyone could hear, I bet the princesses at the front don't even know what subject we have. Everyone in class began to laugh loud, expecting a response from the girls, but they remained calm and their eyes glued to the board. Mr. Attawale immediately shut the students up and asked why they were laughing. John, who had always admired the girls, spoke in their defense, making the teacher punish Janet. When the teaching was over, John walked up to the girls to apologize on Janet's behalf, but he was ignored like no one was speaking to them. John felt embarrassed and swore not to bother himself trying to please them to no friends with him. In the afternoon, when the bell rang for social gathering, all the students gathered to their respective clubs with their costumes. Clara, Stephanie, and Kate appeared in their dance wares, practicing the steps that their dance coach had taught them. Clara noticed their mathematics teacher, Mr. Daniel, stealing glances at Stephanie, and she called the girls' attention to it. Hey, girls, did anyone notice Mr. Daniel stirring at Stephanie? They all laughed. Really, is he not supposed to be at the tennis court coaching his student? Kate asked, making them laugh the more. Clara continued, I swear, we could ask him for the answer key to the next exam, and he'd hand it over without a second thought. I think he has eyes for Stephanie. Stephanie smiled, stating that it's all about knowing which strings to pull so as not to assume wrongly and make hasty decisions. We need to protect our reputation. Stephanie was the smartest, strategist, and always thinking on her feet. She immediately came up with a plan of going to meet him for assistance on a particular calculation. They girls were ready and willing to see the teacher, fall for their plans. Speaking of reputation, Kate said, there's a new teacher starting next week. Ms. Hannah, she would be joining Mr. Daniel in his office, so we need to act fast before she resumes. Kate was the daughter of the owner of the school. She had her ways in sourcing informations. The next day in school, during their mathematics class, Stephanie pretended to be sick, calling the attention of her teacher. You can leave the class if you are ill, Mr. Daniel told her. During break, Stephanie went to his office for assistance in the topic he taught. Mr. Daniel willingly taught her, and immediately he was done. She took her book and walked out of his office, expecting for him to call her back, asking if she understood or not. The same tactics she uses for other teachers who falls for it, but in Mr. Williams was different. He didn't call her back. She was surprised. Every young and single male teacher in the school would seize the opportunity to get her number, but Mr. Daniel seemed serious. She spoke to her friends about the failed plan. They were disappointed, and they devised another means of getting Mr. Daniel's attention. At the close of the school, Leo, the senior prefect of the school, and the captain of the soccer team, admired Kate from afar. He was captivated by her beauty and flexible body. At the last year school party, he couldn't get his eyes off Kate while she was dancing. He loved the way she carried herself, whenever she dances, and he longed for friendship with her, but couldn't make the move because of some bunch of reasons. Firstly, he was her senior. Secondly, she wasn't friendly with anyone except her two friends. And thirdly, he wanted to keep his ego and maintain being that respected senior prefect. All these prevented him from approaching Kate. One day in school, an opportunity presented itself. It was the school charity event, to be held in few weeks. Stephanie and her friends had planned to organize a fundraiser for a local orphanage, showcasing their philanthropic side and the best way to get Mr. Daniel's attention, as he was the head of the charity department. They began sharing notice to inform pupils of the fundraising idea, to offer their support monetarily if interested. It was a loud advertisement as a lot of people showed interest. Mr. Daniel was unaware of the fundraising idea, as he wasn't informed but overheard some students talking about it. He immediately summoned the three girls to his office, expressing his disappointment on them for not carrying him along as the head of the charity department. He threatened to cancel the fundraising event as they disrespected him. After the meeting with him, the girls had a conversation and were surprised at his actions. He was literally the only teacher that was against it. Kate had to speak her mind. "I think he's quite different from others. Let's not push this again. It's a waste of time." Stephanie was boiling in anger. "If he cancels the fundraising idea, trust me, I will torment him." The girls left to their houses, spent the weekends together, and planned resuming school on Tuesday rather than Monday. When they got to school, they began hearing rumors about the fundraising event canceled. The girls were furious, but decided to keep mute, not addressing the matter or begging Mr. Daniel to reconsider. Leo, who was the senior prefect, noticed they were the only ones in class who didn't go for theirs clubs during social gathering. He decided to speak to Mr. Daniel to forgive them and allow the fundraising take place. After a lot of pleading, Mr. Daniel reconsidered, called them to his office, informing them to be thankful to Leo, who came to plead on their behalf for the fundraising event to take place. They listened send when he was done talking to them. They replied, "Okay, sir," and left his office. Mr. Daniel didn't expect such a response from them. They were not sorry for what they did and did not even thank him. He just waved it off, believing they are proud. To his surprise, Stephanie went back to his office and thanked him for reconsidering. He was surprised Stephanie, of all people, came back to thank him. He gave her a sit, got chatting for a while, and from that moment they became cool with each other. Stephanie kept it to herself, not telling her friend about it. The school charity day came. It was a success. Everyone was talking about the fundraising event cause a lot of money was gotten for the orphanage. Mrs. Hannah had already resumed. She and Mr. Daniel were getting along real good, as well as Stephanie and Mr. Daniel. Stephanie found herself growing feelings for Mr. Daniel. She couldn't help it. Mr. Daniel noticed it from the conversations they had, but didn't say anything. Stephanie noticed how Mrs. Hannah looks at her whenever she is with Mr. Daniel. She sensed Miss Hannah likes Mr. Daniel. She got pissed and jealous whenever she sees them together. She started missing school any time they would have mathematics class. Mr. Daniel noticed she often skip his mathematics class. In the close of school, he summoned her to his office, asking her why she has skipped his class for a whole week, but she refused to say the truth, giving sickness excuse. Mr. Daniel, being so smart, asked if the sickness only came when she's having mathematics class. She couldn't help but laugh at his joke. He forced the truth out of her, and she confessed, "I'm heartbroken, and that's it." Mr. Daniel inquired on who broke her heart, but she remained quiet. He gave her his contact so they could meet and speak about it. The following day was a public holiday. Mr. Daniel called so they could meet up. They hung out. Mr. Daniel asked if she had feelings for him. She couldn't hide it anymore. She admitted to that. He was glad to hear that, and he told her that the feeling is mutual. Stephanie was surprised to hear him say that. He explained his reasons for being strict to her and her friends. He wanted to maintain a reputable name for himself and be respected. They talked about what they want from their partners in a relationship, and that same day they started, Mr. Daniel asked her to be his girlfriend. The next day in school, Kate called for a meeting with her friends and poured out her minds on the things in friendship that didn't sit right with her. She spoke about them revisiting their rules as it wasn't favorable to her, as she is in love with someone. To their surprise, Clara concurred, and Stephanie, who made the rule, took back her words as she had already flopped in, keeping to her rule, which she didn't tell the girls. The girls also took back their rules and decided that their friendship shouldn't be based on rules making one uncomfortable, but on genuine love. After their meeting, Kate reached out to Leo, who knew had eyes for her, and she admired him as well. They became friends, and the girls started opening up to their classmates and others who wanted to be friends with them. Stephanie shared her secret relationship with her friends. They laughed about it and hugged to start a fresh friendship. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please do well to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.